In this video, we're going to take a look at two new Victory rods from St. Croix. That's right, I picked up two more rods for the 2022 kayak fishing tournament season. This year, my goal is to review and test out several sub $200 rods from various brands. And the two techniques I chose to use these rods for are two of the most critical in my arsenal. A casting rod to throw my jackhammers on, and a spinning rod to throw those drop shots, Ned rigs, Nico rigs, and other small baits. Alright, real quick, let's talk about St. Croix and the technology they use. First off, St. Croix is a company right here in the good old USA up in Falls Park, Wisconsin. One of the last few companies that actually makes rods here in the US. My previous experience with St. Croix rods come along the line of the Mojo Yak rods, as well as their previous version of the Mojo Bass Glass RipNChatter chatterbait rod. Loved that rod. Fished it all of 2020, loved it a lot. Before we jump into the rods, let me say welcome to Fishing with Gramps, presented by American Legacy Fishing Company, right here on YouTube. Now, my experiences with St. Croix have been nothing but great. I've previously owned the Mojo Bass kayak rods, loved them a lot. Also owned the Mojo Bass Glass RipNChatter rod, one of two of their original RipNChatters. They did one in the Mojo Bass Glass and then a Legend Glass Bass. Kind of a lower end and a higher end, and I went with the lower end, and that rod worked for me phenomenally in 2020. I traded that one in so that last year I was testing out and trying out the Dobbins 736 CB glass and found it great as well. I have since handed that one off to my brother to use this year so that I could take the time to test out. New for this year in Victory RipNChatter rod. It's a 7.2 heavy power, moderate action rod made up of what they call their SC3 Plus blend technology. SC3 is one of the ratings that St. Croix uses for their carbon fiber. They have them at various ranges from 1 up through 6, I believe, but this is an SC3 Plus. So what the SC3 Plus is, it's a mix of SC6 along the backbone, and then it lightens up to SC3 as you get closer to the tip. Now, previously, St. Croix had gone with mixes of fiberglass in their chatterbait, their ripping chatterbait rods, which they basically make for lipless crankbaits, for chatterbaits, jackhammers, things like that. So I noticed this time they didn't use glass in the rods, and I called the factory and said, hey, what's the difference between the old RipNChatters? Because recently St. Croix released the Victory RipNChatter and the Legend Bass Tournament Series RipNChatter rod. That's about another $100 more than this rod. And what the engineer told me was that since they were able to do the blend of their carbon fibers, they didn't see the need to blend in fiberglass, which means the rods are a lot thinner and a lot lighter than their previous offering. So if you were to look and lay this next to the old RipNChatter rods, you'll see this one is a lot thinner, but it's also a lot lighter. So this will be an interesting take for me this year of moving from a glass rod to this mix of the new St. Croix, carbon fiber mixes. Eventually I'll pick up the Legend Bass Tournament Series and test it out as well. And boy, they launched this just in time right before the season started. Now the next one I picked up was this lightweight model. It's a 610 spinning rod that's medium light power, extra fast action. This spinning rod they released last year. I actually really wanted to pick this one up when Matt Kiefer, our KBF State Challenge Series kayak champion last year, used this and caught a ton of fish on a Ned rig. So I was looking for a new lightweight spinning rod to really put through the paces and try out, and he gave this thing rave reviews. So I picked one of these up to throw those soft finesse techniques. So I'll talk a little bit about the Victory line of rods itself. One thing I noticed right off the bat compared to all of the other sub $200 rods that I'm comparing, this one comes with cork handles. The only other sub $200 rod that I have that comes with cork handles is the Dobbins Caden rod. So the St. Croix comes with cork. This one's already been UB40 sealed. shield, Fuji reel seat, comes with Fuji guides. I believe these are O series, kind of a budget guide, but that's how they kept this under $200. St. Croix really likes to talk about the technology they use in their rods, the IPC, the ART, and the FRS. Let's talk about those real quick. It's funny that they love it so much because they put these little tags in with the little booklet that comes with the rod, but IPC is the integrated poly curve, and what they're talking about is the curve of the rod. Instead of it doing like hard angles as it tapers down, it's just a nice smooth curve. Part of what they're trying to do to make the actual rod stronger. One of the things they do is they keep the internal wall the same all the way down the rod length. Next, they talk about ART, which they claim makes the rods 10 times stronger. It's their wrapping technique of the carbon fiber that keeps the rod in an O shape so that it doesn't oval when you go to set the hook. The more round that you can keep it, the stronger the rod's going to be, less chance of breaking it on a really sharp hook set or when trying to land a big fish. Next technology is the FRS, their fortified resin system. And what that is a combination of the resin they use and the ovens that they use to bake the rods. It's a computer controlled process to maximize the curing of the resin to give you rods that they claim are 33% stronger. Another thing St. Croix is known for is a good warranty, which is something I think is key in made rods. 15-year transferable warranty. So what does that mean? It's 15 years started from day one of you registering the rod on the St. Croix website. Or should you not do that, 15 years from the day the rod was manufactured? It's a real simple process. You just go to the website, put in your name, put in the date you bought the rod, put in the model number, and put in the serial number that's on the hang tag. Easy peasy. Now in the hand, this rod is really, really light. I know some people say they're tip heavy. And with my Diabazillion already on here, you can see that it bounces just about 3/4 of an inch out from the nut. It is a little tip heavy, but honestly it's lighter than the Dobyns 736 glass I used last year was, but that Dobyns was a little bit better balanced. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, but hey, I ain't gonna know until I get out and fish it. Again, this is just a preview, first look, first thought. We'll see how it goes. In the hand, it feels really light and really good. And for the spinning rod, I've got my Shimano Stradic CI4 Plus on it. It actually balances right about, it's almost like it's more of a forward grip kind of a thing. I think a lot of the times I use a split grip, but since this one's got a longer handle, you know, I can actually fish this all the way forward. That actually fits and feels very well. Overall, first impressions, look good, feel good. You just don't know until you get out on the water and see what you like. That's why I'm testing out a bunch of these different brands to see if any of them can break me away from the Dobyns that I kind of jumped to last year. But we're not going to know till we get out and fish. We'll fish these all season long and see which ones hold up, which ones don't. I'm not going to be a single brand guy regardless. I'm going to find the mix of rods and reels that I like for each different technique. Find what works best for me. You never learn anything new unless you try new things. And that's what the goal is here. So at the end of the season, we'll come back and give our opinions, thoughts, and do a roundup. See what we liked and see what we didn't. And you never know what's going to release through the middle of the year either. So hey, we'll play it by ear, see how it goes. Are any of you guys out there St. Croix fans? Drop me a comment down below. Let me know which ones you like. I've had positive experiences of all of my previous. Looking forward to giving these two rods a go. I know this much. I'm tired of doing preview videos and I'm ready to start fishing. You can see the sun sitting over here banging on my face. It's nice and sunny outside, but the temperature's still in the 30s, but warmer days are coming. We're starting to have less of these 30-degree days and more of those days that pop up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I, for one, cannot wait to get the fishing season started. Until next time, get outside when you can and make some memories, one cast at a time.